Unique Oracle. Chapter 2. One fateful day, King Adib summoned the whole members of the palace to perform his usual morning ritual. He took his seat on the throne, expecting his son, Prince Ibuka, to be among the attendees. But as he scanned the room, he noticed Prince Ibuka's absence. King Adib's brow furrowed in concern. He asked the guides to go to Prince Ibuka's room and call him. The guides hastened to the prince's chambers, expecting him to be still asleep or perhaps indisposed. However, when they arrived at the room, they found it locked from the inside. They knocked on the door, calling out to the prince, but there was no response. They knocked again, louder this time, but the silence was deafening. The guides exchanged worried glances. This was unlike Prince Ibuka, who was always punctual and respectful of his father's rituals. They decided to break down the door, fearing something was amiss. As the door creaked open, the guides entered the room, calling out to the prince. But to their astonishment, the room was empty. Prince Ibuka was nowhere to be found. The guides searched every corner, every hidden nook, but there was no sign of the prince. The guides, still trying to process what they had just seen, slowly backed out of Prince Ibuka's room. They closed the door, trying to make sense of the empty space. Where could the prince be? They had been ordered to fetch him, but now he was nowhere to be found. As they made their way back to the throne room, their footsteps were heavy with worry. They knew King Adib would not take this news well. When they arrived at the throne room, King Adib looked up, expecting to see his son by their side. But the guides' somber faces told a different story. "Where is Prince Ibuka?" King Adib asked, his voice firm but laced with concern. The guides bowed, hesitant to deliver the news. "He's not in his room, Your Majesty. We searched everywhere, but he's nowhere to be found." King Adib's expression darkened. He asked the guides in charge of the gate if they saw Prince Ibuka leaving the palace, but they shook their heads. "We didn't see him leave, Your Majesty. And the palace gate is still closed. It's not yet time for it to be opened." King Adib's concern turned to alarm as he questioned the guides further. "Are you certain you didn't see him leave? He couldn't have just vanished into thin air." The guides shook their heads in unison, their faces etched with worry. "We swear, Your Majesty, we didn't see Prince Ibuka leave. And like we said, the palace gate is still closed. It's not yet time for it to be opened." King Adib's mind raced with possibilities. He knew his son's habits and routines better than anyone. Prince Ibuka was not one to leave the palace without permission, especially not before the palace gate was opened. Something was terribly wrong. The king's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of murmurs from the palace staff. They were whispering among themselves, their voices laced with fear and speculation. King Adib's grip on his scepter tightened as he struggled to maintain his composure. "Search the palace from top to bottom," he ordered, his voice firm but laced with worry. "Find my son and bring him to me immediately." The guides and palace staff scrambled to obey, their footsteps echoing through the corridors as they searched every room, every corner, every hidden passage. But as the minutes ticked by, there was no sign of Prince Ibuka. Few minutes later, the guides were still searching for Prince Ibuka, but there was no sign of him anywhere. King Adib's concern had turned to worry, and the palace staff was on edge. Outside the palace, a boy named Stanley was running towards the gates. He was breathing heavily, his heart racing with fear. He had seen something terrible, something that made his blood run cold. As he approached the gates, the guard stopped him. "Halt. What's your business here?" Stanley didn't hesitate. "I need to see the king. I have urgent news." The guards exchanged skeptical glances, but Stanley's desperation was palpable. They let him through, and he sprinted towards the throne room. And then he arrives at the throne room, falls on his knees, and delivers the horrific news. Watch out for Chapter 3. A story from Megastar J. Please share, comment and like for the next chapter. Thanks.